in the cold, silent heart of the galaxy, inside the crystal flagship of the alien queen, a place where the logic of life and death bends before absolute power. Here, among the frozen mist and the echoes of a war already won, she walks, the queen, a figure of terrifying beauty and an authority so commanding that even light itself dares not challenge it. Her gaze scans the captives, broken beings on their knees, the spoils of countless conquests. She has subdued entire star systems, watched empires crumble into dust. To her, armies are mere disposable toys. But then the queen's instinct, that flawless compass that has granted her dominion over the galaxy, falters. It falters before a single prisoner, a wounded, battered human. A small, blood-stained creature, unarmed yet holding his head high. It's an image that should evoke pity or contempt, yet it stirs something unexpected within the conqueror. A pause. What was that glimmer in the human's eyes? Madness, perhaps, or something far more dangerous. The queen, so accustomed to absolute submission, perceives a spark that refuses to die, a stubborn, fierce defiance. This small act of resistance, this refusal to sink into fear, was more intriguing than the strategy of any fleet. She had crushed worlds, annihilated entire armies, and yet something in the unbroken rebellion of this fragile human made her hesitate. That is the moment of true revelation. Not fear, but curiosity paints the queen's face, because what she sees is not another slave. It's the reflection of something she, with all her might, could never conquer, will, and in that instant, beneath the silent shroud of her crystal ship, a premonition is born. That this war has only just begun. In the silent vastness of space, where stars are nothing but frozen witnesses to empires rising and falling, the queen walks. Her ship, a cathedral of crystal and shadow, hums with a pulse that feels almost alive. Every corridor reflects her image, tall, elegant, and terrifying. To her, power is not a concept. It's a constant rhythm, something she breathes. Every step echoes with the weight of countless victories. Worlds have bowed to her. Armies have vanished at the sound of her command. But today, something is different. The hall of captives stretches before her, a gallery of defeated species, eyes lowered, spirits broken. Yet as her gaze moves from one trembling face to another, it stops. There, in the corner, a human, wounded, bleeding, barely able to kneel. And yet, his head is still raised. The queen narrows her eyes. For the first time in ages, she studies instead of judging. There's no weapon in his hands, no armor, no shield. Just a gaze that refuses to look away. Defiance. It's absurd, she thinks. One fragile creature standing before the destroyer of galaxies and not flinching. But the absurdity lingers in her mind, crawling under her skin like static. She can feel it. Something unfamiliar. Not anger, not pity. Something else. Curiosity. What gives this creature strength when everything else has failed? What drives a being with no hope to still resist? The queen, who thought she had mastered every emotion in the cosmos, feels a flicker of unease. Because in that human stare, she doesn't just see rebellion. She sees a mirror, and in that quiet, chilling moment aboard her crystalline throne, one truth becomes clear. The war she thought was over has only just begun. In the silent vastness of space, where stars are nothing but frozen witnesses to empires rising and falling, the queen walks. Her ship, a cathedral of crystal and shadow, hums with a pulse that feels almost alive. Every corridor reflects her image, tall, elegant, and terrifying. To her, power is not a concept. It's a constant rhythm, something she breathes. Every step echoes with the weight of countless victories. Worlds have bowed to her. Armies have vanished at the sound of her command. But today, something is different. The hall of captives stretches before her, a gallery of defeated species, eyes lowered, spirits broken. Yet as her gaze moves from one trembling face to another, it stops. There, in the corner, a human, wounded, bleeding, barely able to kneel. And yet, his head is still raised. The queen narrows her eyes. For the first time in ages, she studies instead of judging. There's no weapon in his hands, no armor, no shield. Just a gaze that refuses to look away. Defiance. It's absurd, she thinks. One fragile creature standing before the destroyer of galaxies and not flinching. But the absurdity lingers in her mind, crawling under her skin like static. She can feel it. Something unfamiliar. Not anger, not pity. Something else. Curiosity. What gives this creature strength when everything else has failed? What drives a being with no hope to still resist? The queen, who thought she had mastered every emotion in the cosmos, feels a flicker of unease. Because in that human stare, she doesn't just see rebellion. She sees a mirror, And in that quiet, chilling moment aboard her crystalline throne, one truth becomes clear. The war she thought was over has only just begun. In the silent ocean of space, the Queen's ship drifts like a frozen cathedral, a monument to power. Inside, everything gleams with cold perfection, walls of glass and silver pulsing faintly with alien light. The air hums with an almost holy stillness, broken only by the echo of her footsteps. She moves slowly, every motion deliberate, her presence alone enough to make her soldiers kneel. She is the conqueror of worlds, the one who turned rebellion into myth. To look at her is to understand fear, and yet even fear seems to hesitate tonight. Before her stands a line of captives, a parade of shattered souls. They kneel in silence, heads bowed, awaiting judgment. She glides past them uninterested. None of them matter. None. Until one does. A flicker catches her eye. A human, frail and broken, half covered in his own blood. His armor is gone. His body trembles. But his eyes are steady. He looks up. Straight at her. The Queen stops. That small act, so reckless, so meaningless, hits her like a pulse of energy. No plea, no surrender. Just defiance. The kind she hasn't seen in centuries. For a brief moment, the Empire feels distant, her victories hollow. What is this emotion clawing at her certainty? She steps closer. The human doesn't move. And there, in that unblinking stare, she feels something shift. A memory, a warning. Perhaps a spark of something she thought extinct. Will. The ship hums quietly around them. The stars beyond the glass holding their breath. Because somewhere between predator and prey, something impossible has happened. The Queen, destroyer of worlds, has discovered curiosity. Between interrogations, something strange begins to happen aboard the Queen's ship. The silence that once ruled those halls starts to crack, not with screams or orders, but with words, human words. He talks to her softly at first about things she's never known. Oceans that breathe, sunsets that burn the sky in color. The taste of rain, cold, clean, alive. She listens, pretending not to care. Yet her mind replays every sound, every image. These are not the conquests or calculations she understands. These are sensations, fragments of a world that feels impossible. He laughs once quietly. The sound startles her. No one laughs in her presence. It's reckless, human. Pure curiosity becomes fascination. She begins asking questions about warmth, about family, about what it means to feel. He answers with stories, not data. His words carry something she can't replicate in her empire. Something alive. And in those quiet exchanges, between hunger, pride, and the cold stars outside, something flickers. Something she thought her kind had lost forever. The Queen, conqueror of galaxies, finally feels a heartbeat that isn't born of power or fear. And for the first time in centuries, she feels alive. Whispers spread through the crystal halls like poison in the air. The Queen's generals gather in the shadows, their voices sharp and venomous. They say their ruler, the conqueror of galaxies, has changed. That she's been infected. By humanity, they've seen it. The hesitation in her commands. The way her gaze softens when she passes the human cell. To them it's treason, a fracture in the perfection of their empire. Compassion in their world is not virtue. It's disease. Orders are drafted in secret. The human must be eliminated. Quietly, permanently. The Queen's will can no longer be trusted, but even before the words reach her, she knows. The air around her throne feels colder. Eyes that once bowed now watch. The empire she built with iron discipline is turning against her, all because of one fragile life. She should let him die. That would restore her power, her fear, her control. Yet the thought burns inside her. Love was forbidden, compassion a weakness, but her heart no longer obeyed her crown. And in that silent, trembling moment, the Queen, once worshipped as a god, makes her first truly human choice. The night explodes with sirens. Crimson lights flash across the Queen's ship, slicing through the dark like angry veins of fire. Soldiers rush through the corridors, their armor clanging, their voices filled with alarm, because their Queen, their untouchable goddess, has done the unthinkable. She's freeing the prisoner. In the chaos, doors hiss open one after another as the Queen leads the human through her own fortress. Every step she takes is a betrayal of everything she once ruled. Blaster fire tears through the air. The walls that once echoed her triumphs now echo her rebellion. The human stumbles, wounded but refusing to stop. She turns, covering him with her shield of light. A weapon forged to destroy, now used to protect. For the first time, her power feels like choice, not duty. They run together, the Queen and the soldier, through corridors of burning crystal. Behind them, her generals shout orders. Capture her alive. Kill the human. But it's too late. The escape pods ignite like stars being born. She looks at him, this fragile creature who changed everything. And for a heartbeat, there's no war, no empire, no crown. Only freedom. The ship shudders as the pod launches into the void. Fire streaks across the Queen's reflection, fading into the stars. Together they defied an empire, the Queen and the soldier, hunted by her own. And somewhere in the infinite dark between worlds, two fugitives carry with them something far more dangerous than any weapon ever built. The memory of compassion. And the spark of a new beginning. The desolate moon glows beneath a storm of fire. Above, the sky is torn apart by warships. Her warships. Closing in like predators scenting blood. The ground trembles with each blast. Dust swirls around them, red and cold, clinging to armor, to skin, to breath. The Queen stands at the edge of a crater, her crystalline armor fractured, her power surging like lightning through her veins. Beside her, the human, weapon in hand, defiant as ever. They shouldn't have made it this far. But survival was never the goal. It was freedom. And each second they hold the line is stolen time against an empire built on fear. The first wave hits. The Queen raises her hand, unleashing a shock of energy that tears through the ranks. Her own kind fall before her, their betrayal met with the fury of a goddess who no longer serves a throne. The human moves with her, firing into the chaos, protecting her flank, refusing to back down even as the sky burns. She had fought for empires, for glory, for conquest. But now, every strike, every shield, every heartbeat is for him. For the fragile courage that changed her. Their enemies surround them, countless and relentless. Yet in the Queen's eyes burns something greater than power. Purpose. And as the last of their strength collides with the storm, the battlefield glows with a strange, almost holy light. She looks at him one final time. No words, no fear, just understanding. When the blast consumes the horizon, it is not the sound of defeat. It's the echo of two souls who dared to love in a universe ruled by fear. She had fought for empires. Now, she fought for one heart. The first light of dawn spills across the horizon. Soft, golden, almost fragile. The war is over. The sky no longer burns. In its place, the slow rhythm of a new world awakening. The Queen stands on the edge of this strange planet, the wind brushing against her face. Real air, real warmth. For the first time, she doesn't feel like a ruler. She feels alive. Behind her, the human approaches, limping, scarred but smiling. He doesn't bow. He never has. Instead, he simply stands beside her, watching the sun climb higher, the light reflecting off the shards of her broken armor. For so long, her heart had beaten for conquest, for power, for dominance, for control. Every breath had been war. But now, as she reaches out, her fingers trembling, and touches his chest, she feels something unfamiliar. His heartbeat. Steady. Human. Alive. He places his hand over hers, and for a brief moment there are no titles, no species, no walls between them. Just two souls, scarred but free, standing beneath the same rising sun. Her heart beat for conquest once. Now, it beats in time with his.